Hi, I'm Amy Rossman, Executive Director of Rodman for Kids, a nonprofit focused on empowering youth charities to build brighter futures for kids, and your co-host of the Brighter Futures podcast.
And I'm Jane Lima, Senior Marketing and Communications Manager at Rodman for Kids, your other co-host of the Brighter Futures podcast, where we tell the stories behind the impact and the people building brighter futures.
This isn't just a podcast about impact. It's about the people behind it, the communities who come together, the connections that drive change, and the shared belief that we can build something better for kids together.
On the Brighter Futures podcast, we will shine a light on the partnerships, programs, and people behind the impact, because brighter futures don't just happen, they're built together. So today's episode is all about mindset and what it takes to keep showing up when the challenge is real.
We're joined today by Alyssa Pannozzi, Head of Experience at Rev'd Indoor Cycling Foxboro and local fitness influencer, who is currently taking on not one, not two, but 3 major marathons in less than 2 months, including running the Paris Marathon in support of Rodman for Kids.
As Amy said, Alyssa is the head of experience at Rev'd Fitness Foxboro and a full-time trainer for the brand, where she leads with heart, energy, and a deep commitment to community. Outside the studio, she's a mom, wife, and full-time content creator who travels the world running races and sharing the behind the scenes of balancing ambition, movement, and motherhood. Whether she's building unforgettable fitness studio experiences or towing the start line of a marathon, Alyssa is passionate about inspiring others to show up fully, both in fitness and in life.
Welcome to the Brighter Futures podcast, Alyssa.
Thank you for having me. I'm thrilled to be here with both of you.
We're so excited to have you on, and our relationship goes so far back. I think the first time I saw your face was when you were conducting online workouts for us and our supporters during COVID. And it was amazing, and I think some of the only time I worked out during COVID, so I appreciate that. And I'm glad that's not why we're talking to you now. I'm glad we're doing something a little bit different this time around. But you are, as we mentioned, in the middle of training for 3 marathons in less than 2 months. What made you say yes to this?
It's so funny because with you saying that I have 3 marathons in 2 months, I'm coming off of 5 marathons in 3 months. So this is like...
This is nothing.
That was a breeze.
I have one on March 1st, and then the next one isn't for another 6 weeks, whereas over the fall, I would have a marathon every 3 weeks, and then the last one was 2 weeks after the second to last. So it's more mental than anything, but each of the marathons is so meaningful to me, obviously Paris being the most meaningful, if you will. So it's just more a thing that I decided to take on, just like everything else, that, hey, why not? Why not do 3 marathons in a couple months? Why not?
We love your attitude, and we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
But we're proud of you for doing it. But we all take on different kinds of challenges and need to get in the right headspace. And that's what we'll talk about today. But by the time this podcast airs, right now we are going into, as we record this, Super Bowl weekend here in Foxboro. But when this airs, you will have completed Tokyo. And how do you anticipate you'll be feeling as you wrap that up and head into Paris and Boston in the weeks ahead?
It's a great question and something I think about very often, because just a little backstory for those that don't know. I committed to running all 7 of the world major marathons before I turned 40, which is in June of 2026. So I'm just a couple months away from 40. And I didn't decide to take on this challenge until November of 24. So I essentially had a year and a half to not only run 7 marathons, but to find a way to travel around the world, find a way to make sure that my daughter was cared for while I was traveling around the world. And I've been working so incredibly hard over the last year and a half to make this goal that was nobody's goals but my own. So I think what's nice about me is that I go through phases in life of a lot of different things during different phases, during different times. And I'm not going to say that I'm ready for this 7 world major marathon era to be over. But if I had to guess, I will feel very accomplished, very happy, very excited, very thankful, because this entire journey has been so life-changing and amazing for me that I can't imagine being sad. I can imagine just being really proud of myself for setting a goal, sticking to it, completing it, and then I very quickly move on to the next, because that's how life goes, right? Lots going on.
Incredible.
So obviously, we heard 3 marathons in 2 months, and Amy and I were like, whoa. Now you're also saying much more than that in a year and a half. What does like the mental you were just talking about that there's a lot of mental preparation and there's a big mental side to this. What does that look like for you?
I think one of the most cliche quotes that I've ever heard, but that is also the most true is if you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you cannot. So there's almost like a couple different schools of thought around marathons and marathon training and in general doing anything hard. It's either that's too hard, I'm not going to try, that's not for me, or it's why not give it a shot. So when I first started running marathons, my first marathon was Boston 2024. And I had gone from a 5K to a 10K to a half marathon to then Boston being my first full. And long story short, it was a disaster. It took me over 6 hours. From miles 19 to 26, I threw up the entire time. I begged my husband, who was running it with me, my first marathon with me, I begged him to please not let me quit no matter what. But when I say I was throwing up, I was pulling over to the side. People tried to be like, "What is this girl doing? Why are you still out here?" But when I crossed the finish line, it almost just lit a fire in me that was like, I have had a traumatic birth experience. I've had challenges happen throughout my life, but crossing the finish line of that marathon, that was probably one of the most challenging days of my entire life that I was like, if I can do that and come out the other side, then I can do anything. So it's really just mindset. Like if you think that you're capable, then you can. But if you're not willing to give it a shot and you're not willing to trust yourself and try, then you're never going to get there.
It's so
Yeah.
powerful.
Walking into it with the mindset that it's it's the consistency, it's not the perfection. Just being able to say that you did it in and of itself is an accomplishment. How you got there and how long it took you, like that's details. Like, but you did it, and that's going into it with that mindset that it's all about consistency and showing up and just just trying, just starting is more than like making it the perfect marathon, the perfect accomplishment.
100%. I think many people do get very hyped up on the details for a lot of different things, right? You think, okay, I'm going to run my first marathon. I have to hit a certain time. I need to perform a certain way. I need to have the proper shoes. I need to look a certain way doing it. And when you release the expectation of what exactly it is you're doing, I think that was everything for me was saying, okay, I'm going to run a marathon. I'm going to be very honest with both of you. I thought I was going to crush that first marathon. I stepped onto the I stepped at to the start line with my husband by my side, thinking I was going to bust out a sub 4 marathon out of nowhere. The training led me to not at all believe that direction. I'm laughing at myself now because thinking back a year and a half ago. Now I understand. I understand nutrition. I probably was throwing up that day because I was not fueling properly. There's things that you learn along the way. You have to have a little delusion in order to try really hard things like that. But
Yeah.
when I crossed the finish line and every single finish line I've crossed, I don't care about my time. I don't care about anything other than I finish. Now, of course, I have this fire where I'm like, okay, I'm learning. Every single marathon I've learned some type of tool. So now how can I put that together to make Tokyo my strongest one yet? If I wouldn't be giving myself what I deserve if I didn't continuously try to get better. But that doesn't mean time. It doesn't mean form. It just means better. You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
we get too wrapped up sometimes in perfection versus just seeing what happens because this stuff is hard.
And there's
Yeah.
so many factors that you can't control, right? You can control your preparation, but when it comes down to it that day, there may be elements, simple as weather or that are out of your control. So just focusing on being your best is so smart.
100%.
When you do get tired or you're vomiting the last 6 miles or feeling overwhelmed, really like tactically, what are some of the tools that you use to stay focused and stay motivated?
I actually used to work with a mindset coach, which was one of the best investments. It was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, so it's been a while. But he taught me almost number one to always come back to your why. So during those moments when it's so hard, it's so challenging, if you don't have a why, you're just not going to finish. You're not going to do it. You're not going to have a reason. And I share this story often because it was a good example for me. So last year when I ran the New York City Marathon. It was the one marathon in 2025 that I didn't feel a very strong connection to. I wasn't running for charity. I was running for a brand, which I was so thankful to have that incredible opportunity, but didn't really have many touch points with them. I had tried to be like, hey, can we get everyone on the team together before? And I was more just a number that they were able to give me a bid for, which was great. But I got to the starting line and immediately panicked because I was like, I don't want to do this right now. My
Mm,
body doesn't feel good. My mind feels very off. My friends and my sister were behind me because they were in a different corral. I had nobody to be like, you can do this. So for 26 miles, I will never forget this one because it was a mindset battle the entire time of being like, I don't want to. Why am I doing this? And what was challenging is I could not find the why. I couldn't pull from
mm.
anything other than my daughter's going to be at mile 7 and then again at 16, just get to that next one. And then I was like, well, you know what? I'm inspiring people. So maybe that can be my why. But having a strong why as to why you are doing anything,
Mhm.
especially hard and challenging things, makes the entire difference to me. You
Yeah.
have to have a strong why. You have to.
We talk a lot of times at team meeting, actually, we'll start our team meetings off with like, why are you here? Why are you at Rodman for Kids? Like everyone, especially in nonprofit work, but in everything you do, like you're saying, showing up and having a reason to be there just makes it all the more fulfilling. And so we talk about that a lot. And in fundraising, it's important to talk about your why. It's important with everything. So I appreciate you sharing a time when you weren't sure of your why
Mhm.
because those are often too, and they don't get talked about that much. So, speaking of community and talking about, wish you had your sister and your friends behind you at that New York Marathon, obviously Rev'd is a huge community for you. Rev'd has become a part of Rodman for Kids community and a part of, your support system. What does that look like for you during a season like this when you've got so much going on? You have your why front and center. What does that kind of community support mean?
I could not do it without the support of everybody at Rev'd. I am so thankful beyond. I don't even think it's possible to put into words because unless you are in it, you just can't say what it means because it's teamwork, it's collaboration, it's feeling like not only do I have an amazing family, a set of best friends that support me in everything, but I have like hundreds, almost thousands of people from my sessions that are just so supportive. Like I've had send off sessions where people bring me cards to say good luck in your marathons. I then have people bringing me flowers afterwards. I have people in Boston. Like I literally have the chills thinking about this because what I realized my second Boston last year was it's always going to be my hometown race. I don't think I can do it for time because I stopped the entire way and I'm like, there's this person I haven't seen in so long. And there's this person from my session that made me a sign that said go APBP, which is my nickname and my initials. It's having a team of people. And at Rev, we call ourselves a team. And we truly, truly stand by that word because I feel like a team is just people that have your back no matter what and help you work together. Right. So on the days that maybe I didn't feel like doing my training, I would have people from Rev saying, hey, you got this. I know. And having people to hold myself accountable to also as such a leader for the people at Rev. They look up to me, they come to my sessions, they're going through it, they're looking for things. It just gives me even more motivation to continue pushing forward. We'll say it again, I could not do what I'm doing at all without Rev'd. I mean, Rev'd, when I started, I was single. I was 29, and Rev'd has seen me meet my now husband. They've seen us and supported us through our wedding. We had battle rides at every single studio before we got married, and it was so much fun. I had a traumatic birth experience where I ended up stepping away from Rev 6 weeks before I thought I was going to because my daughter came super early. They were visiting me in the hospital. They were sending gifts for my daughter. Like the last 10 years of being at Rev'd has been so transformative for me. And they've been there quite literally every step of the way. So it's really very cool.
That's
I can
amazing.
relate to that. We're fortunate to when you do work that you love with people that really care about you and who you really care about, it's a game changer. Not a lot of people can say that. So we're fortunate to be in that position.
So
Um,
true.
this is the marathons are such a huge challenge for you personally, but why is it important to you to sort of tie that challenge to giving back in some way, like you're doing by fundraising for Rodman for Kids with Paris?
So that's everything to me. Have a I still haven't found out how to put it into words because it's just something inside of me that the two of you probably completely understand because you also have the same feeling, fire, desire. I don't know how to categorize it, but I've always just wanted to help people. My first job out of college was working with college athletes. I've worked for the Red Sox, giving back in a certain type of way. My first real job, if you will, was working for a charity. I then now work in fitness where I give back. And what's cool about my career, if you will, as a content creator is that I've gotten so many amazing opportunities for free. So I've gotten to run marathons around the world where I've not had to raise a penny. I've gotten free organizations sending me different places to represent them. And I've committed to myself to at least once a year, always make sure that I do something to give back because these opportunities are never going to stop coming. I hope the bigger I get, the more opportunities I'll have. But if there's no purpose to them, yes, of course, it's for me to be able to run and to cross finish lines and continue to do that for myself. But if I have a platform, I've always kind of grown up thinking I have to use it and I have to use it for good. So I could go on and on about this topic in particular. And I'm so glad that this particular opportunity worked out because it's so meaningful to me. It's like, what I don't understand if you have a platform, what you're doing if you're not using it for good. I truly can't comprehend in my brain why you're not doing something. Do you need to run a marathon? No, of course not. You can there's many different ways to give back, but I have a passion and a desire to just help as many people as possible and giving back to charities and communities is a huge part of that.
When you're actually I'm thinking about when you're actually running the race, you're running up the Champs-Élysées in Paris. How is I just gave Jane a goosebump moment there. When you're running for something bigger, how does it feel different when when you're running for a cause or something bigger than your own personal why? Does that sort of change what it feels like when you're out there pounding the
It
pavement?
does, yeah. I just got the chills at the same time in the spirit of being fully transparent. When you are running a marathon, it just feels crazy. It's crazy. It's challenging. Your whole body hurts. You're like, what am I doing? But then what will happen is you'll look around and you see people with charity bibs from different organizations from especially somewhere like Paris. I can imagine it's very similar to some of the others in different cities around the world that I ran last year. Everybody has a reason. And whatever that reason is, it's like for however long it takes you to run, you're coming together with all those people. So it does feel different. My younger sister ran the New York City Marathon for an organization. She was raising funds for her best friend who is a cancer survivor. And it was my sister's fastest marathon. I knew she was going to crush it because her why was so incredibly strong.
Mhm.
And it was such a good example of when you care, it makes you just run with a different type of pep in your step. It's important when it is 12 degrees and I am outside on the slippery roads, right headphone dies, and my shoes are sloshing all over the place. And I'm like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm like, this is this is why I'm doing this because it has a direct impact on multiple people in a bunch of different ways. So especially I think with marathon training, it genuinely does make a huge difference coming back to that why because training is so challenging, because running is so challenging, because even traveling is so challenging. Don't get me wrong, being able to go to Paris is a huge opportunity to be able to run that marathon in particular, but it's hard. It's really hard. So it's helpful knowing I'm doing it for something and that something is something that is important to me.
It's incredible. That's incredible.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I love it. So obviously, we haven't gotten to Tokyo yet. Again, like Amy said, when this airs, you will have completed Tokyo. But even before you go into that incredible race and the three coming up, what is something that this experience has already taught you, even before it's finished?
So much grit, determination, discipline. I've learned a lot about what I don't like about myself and that I'd like to change. I will say, and this is probably the first time I've said this publicly, but last fall, when I ran five marathons in 13 weeks, like I mentioned before, I was not a version of myself that I really liked. looking back, and I didn't notice until really after. I sat down with my husband, Mike, who I don't know if we've mentioned this, but is also running for Rodman for Kids Paris. And he, it was such a life changing conversation for us because he sat me down and he was like, "How are you?" And I was like, "I'm good.
Mm,
What do you mean? Like, I'm great. I'm so proud of myself. This was great." And he's like, "But how actually are you? You just did this crazy thing. You just ran 5 marathons. We've traveled to Australia, Germany, Chicago, New York, Arizona. Are you sure you're just fine?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess. Like, I'm fine." And he'll kill me for saying this, but he actually started crying. And he was
mm,
like, "I just want to make sure you're okay because you just did this massive thing and you're just moving on to the next thing as if you didn't complete this huge, big challenge." And I was like, "You know what? You're right. I need to take a second. I need to reflect. I need to look
mm,
back." And what I realized was, as crazy as it sounds, because it was an amazing thing that I accomplished, there was a lot of excuses I was making for myself. I did have an injury I was battling, which was really challenging, but also could have worked a little bit harder in some areas. As I got towards the end of the marathons with the last two, I wasn't really trying very hard. And that's not in my nature to not give my all. Like by marathon number 5, I was like, I just want to get to the end. And so I learned that
mm,
about myself that I don't wanna just get to the end. I don't wanna just push through things just to do them. I wanted
mm.
to reconnect to the why. I felt like a little bit like an unhealthy version of myself, and I've really been dialing in on that the last 8 weeks, and it's made a profound difference. So, I learned a lot about myself and how strong and mentally tough I am, and I also learned a lot about myself that I wanna continue to work on. So, I thought that was actually pretty cool.
I
Yeah.
love that you have that support system, at home and that your husband saw that in you and brought it up. Do you feel like going into this series of races, you're in a better sort of better headspace and you'll be able to stop and appreciate it when it's done before you
Yes.
jump on to the next thing?
100%. I feel like a whole different person in a really
Mhm.
awesome way. I
Yeah.
do a lot of self-reflection, and I'm a very self-aware person, almost too much so, if you will. It's like mental health and self-awareness and doing deep dives on myself are very important to me. So I feel like each race is so important that I wanna take each one and really just be fully present, and I really feel like they do all kind of stand alone. I mean,
Mhm.
Paris and Boston are 1 week apart, but they're very different reasons and experiences, and Tokyo is like the big bang, "Let's do this, let's complete this challenge." Then I have a solid 6 weeks to switch gears, focus, continue to fundraise, get excited for this amazing abroad experience and then come
Mhm.
back to my hometown race and like maybe retire from marathons for a little bit. I say that now. I'll probably have one lined up in the fall by the time this airs. Let's just be real. But yes,
I love it.
From what I've learned from marathon runners, you never retire when you say you're gonna retire. It never happens, no.
So, from what you're saying from last fall moving into this year, it seems like, and again, you've said giving back is just a part of who you are. That's something that's so important to you. Do you think that choosing to run Paris for Rodman for Kids has helped you with that transition into becoming more rooted in who you are and what you, I guess, hope to accomplish? Do you think that has anything to do with, this new mindset moving into these 3 races compared to the ones in the fall?
definitely. Because like I said to you, I feel very much like I want to make you guys proud and the whole organization proud. And I ran Berlin for charity last year and kinda similar to what I was talking about with New York, had no real connection to the organization. They were London based, so it just was a very different
Right.
experience. I actually ran London for the same organization, but they had like 300 people running those marathons for them. So we really were just a number, and I was so happy to help them fundraise. But because I feel so connected to you guys and I want to help make a difference and I want to raise as much as I can while also simultaneously having this amazing experience. Like it really is all connected and it does make a tremendous, tremendous difference in just like how I'm operating moving forward. Because again, it's not just for me, it's for actually something much bigger than myself. So I owe it to everybody to try my best as well. You guys are going to be proud of me no matter what. I know it. But I would like to
Yes.
make you a little extra proud by being like, I gave my all for that whole entire however long it takes me this spring to run.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We will be proud no matter what, but appreciate all the effort you're putting in. It's been fun to watch on your socials, all three of you who are running, the way you're promoting it, and just it's obvious that Team Rev'd is all in. I think what's also interesting is that by doing what you're doing with the platform that you have a real opportunity to inspire others to give back in a way that feels, personal and authentic to them. So what does that mean to you, or how do you feel like you can inspire others?
I think you almost said it perfectly that what's nice about fundraising, at least how I look at it, is that I like to give a lot of different opportunities for people to feel called to what's calling to them, if you
Hmm.
will. Similar to me, there's almost like different buckets where there's going to be people that they donate to me no matter what I'm fundraising
Hmm.
for. It is so incredibly kind. People have donated probably thousands of their own dollars to anything that I say that I'm doing. They're going to support me. Then there's the people that are very strategic. I actually had somebody who was very, very surprised at this particular person said, I only support charities that support XYZ. And I was like, that's so interesting. I would have never thought about that. I just would
Hmm.
assume you would support me because I'm me, but that was very eye opening and also so true, right? Like I'm supporting my friends for being my friends, but then I'm also, if something crosses my page that I'm feel very called to, I'm like, oh, I want to donate. I want to give back to that. So I feel like I'm allowing people to do something that they might not think of themselves if they see a fun opportunity to give back. Maybe I'm sharing about an organization they've never heard about before. Maybe I'm opening up their eyes to just a whole realm of, I don't know, the charity world that they didn't
Hmm.
know existed. I I always am so funny when people are like, I don't want to keep talking about fundraising, annoying people. And I'm like, you're not annoying people. People can say no. As long as I raise money, it doesn't matter who it's coming from and what. I would never be upset with a friend for saying, I can't support you at this time. But yeah, it's a cool opportunity for me to be like, here, let me spotlight this amazing organization. If you don't have the money to support, now you know about a new brand, maybe an opportunity comes out some other day when you are able to give back. So there's a lot of different kind of avenues to take and ways to look at it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, something I always learned from our founder, who was a mentor of mine, Don Rodman, is you're not asking for yourself. You're asking for the kids or whoever, whatever the organization is that you're supporting. And when you have that mindset, it's really easy to just keep asking and not worry so much about driving people crazy because you're
Yeah.
doing it for a really good reason for people who need the help. So,
And another Don Rodmanism is, there's all different ways to give back, right? Like you're saying, if you donate and you support that way, thank you so much. We're so grateful. But even if you're just sharing your Instagram reels, you're sharing your email, you're sharing somebody's platform and letting other people know about our organization or about these organizations that
mhm.
exist, you're sharing that. If you're volunteering at their events, like these are all different ways to give back. It doesn't all have to be monetary. Don used to say you can give your I'm gonna let you do it.
You can give your time, you can give your shoulder, you can give your heart.
Yes. See, this is why I didn't want to mess it up because it's good.
I love that.
Well, before we wrap up, we love asking this question of all of our guests, Alyssa. What is a person, activity, or moment from your childhood that helped shape who you are today?
What a fantastic question. My parents. So I've been thinking a lot about my parents recently. They're both very much alive and with us and very healthy, active. And I kind of am following in their footsteps. So my dad was an anchorman and reporter for Channel
Mhm,
5 ABC for 40 plus years. My mom was a producer also at Channel 5 and then
wow.
WGBH for similarly 40 plus years. So I'm stepping into the new age of media where we have conversations all the time about like the old school way. And
Mhm.
I've actually been on a couple TV shows where I've watched the old way try to mesh with the new way. And they've inspired me in so many ways, and something I actually was gonna mention before, but couldn't get it out in time, is that watching my dad be in the spotlight is what probably gave me this heart of gold that I have, if you for lack of a better way of saying it, because I used to watch him participate in celebrity basketball tournaments to give back. He would go read in schools, and these are all things that sat with me where he's truly the one that taught me if you have a platform, then you have to use it for good. So, both of
Beautiful.
my parents all day, every day, they just inspire me so much.
I
I
love
love
that.
that they've been such an inspiration for you, and I imagine, whether or not you realize it, you're being just as much of an inspiration for your little girl, who is absolutely adorable, by the way.
That is something I think about every day too. Is I
Yeah,
hope that she will be on a podcast someday saying the same thing about me.
I think she will.
Well, it's a cool segue. So, we also end every episode with a question asked by a kiddo. So, we have two questions for you. One is by a kiddo named Julia. She's 7 years old. She would like to know, what is it like running a marathon?
What a
That,
great
that's the
question.
question.
What is it like running a marathon? It's hard, it's challenging, it's fun, it's sweaty, it's crazy, it's empowering, it's beautiful, it's maddening. It's really every single emotion I think that you can feel as a human being, you feel at least once while running a marathon.
That's a
That's a
great
really cool
answer.
way of putting it. Yeah. And now our second question is from Brooke, who's 11 years old. She would like to know, and I'm also curious about this, what things do you carry with you when you're running a marathon?
Also, great question. I carry with me my headphone case because if my headphones don't make it through, that's not fine. So I have a backup to charge my headphones. I carry with me a charger, a portable charger, because if my phone doesn't last the entire time that I'm running a marathon, that's a problem because I need to reunite with people at the end
Mhm.
and I need to find my way back. I mean, think about being somewhere like Australia. How are you going to get back if you don't have your phone? So, portable
Mhm.
charger. And I have to give the disclaimer that my husband taught me all of these tricks because these are all probably not what you were expecting me to say
No.
as first things that I carry during a
Mhm.
marathon. I carry my cell phone because, again, I like to listen to music on my phone. I like to make sure that I can contact people. And sometimes I vlog during the marathons. And then, of course, I carry fuel with me, which is something I've really learned and adapted over time to make sure that I have enough fuel and that is it. Since I had to pack over and over and over and over again for all of these marathons in the fall, I now have it down of like the exact bag that I bring with me or belt pack, if you will, the pockets that everything goes into. And I would say I bring my hotel room key if
Mm.
I'm not at home.
Makes sense.
I was not expecting the charger, but it makes all the sense in the world.
And before we wrap up, Alyssa, where can people follow you to be a part of your journey and watch you take on the next three races until you have a fourth one eventually?
So you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at the real APBP. I also have a Rev'd specific TikTok that I call my spin talk that is at APBP spins. And you also can train with me in person at our Boston Rev studio. Let's see, by the time this comes out, our Foxborough studio should be opening very, 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 very soon, and in our Dedham studio as well.
Thank you so much, Alyssa, for sharing your journey with us and just for choosing to turn this incredible personal challenge into something that gives back. We are so grateful that you are doing this for Rodman for Kids and all of our charity partners and the thousands of kids that they serve. We are proud of you now before you even set foot in Paris.
We'll leave our listeners with a reflection question, as always. What's something challenging in your life right now, and how might mindset help you take the next step?
Thanks for listening to the Brighter Futures podcast. If this episode inspired you, share it with someone who's facing a big challenge of their own. To learn more about Alyssa's Paris Marathon run supporting Rodman for Kids, visit rodmanforkids.org.